Hello, it's Allan Laboucan here with Rocks and Stocks News show. It's November the 6th at 6:51 Central Standard Time. I'm doing this show on a Sunday evening. I wanted to talk about the action in the gold, silver, copper. On Friday, the US dollar bulls had a bit of a challenging news on the employment that saw the US dollar under pressure on the downward side, and the gold, silver, copper, other commodities priced in the US dollar were to the upside quite aggressively. And this shows me a few things. One of them is that I think that there's a lot of pent-up demand out there for gold stocks, silver stocks, copper stocks, and what the market is really looking for is the sign that the Federal Reserve is going to pivot. And the US dollar has been on such an incredible bull trend in 2022, fueled by the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, that I really think it's looking for an excuse to sell off. It's just been much too powerful. And those kind of parabolic moves never last for very long. And usually you have a steep correction after that. I think we're at the start of the steep correction, since it topped out at a little over 114 on the US dollar index. And this latest employment numbers that spooked the US dollar bulls came out on Friday. US dollar got punished, and gold and silver, copper were shining. And I think that that's a trend that's about to get started in a big way, where you see the US dollar under pressure and the price of commodities, gold, silver, copper, moving to the upside. Basically, what it comes down to is I really don't think that the Federal Reserve can keep increasing interest rates, certainly at the pace they have been, 0.75%. But I think that they're getting close to slowing that. And after they slow, then they stop. And after they stop, I think the next round of quantitative easing and stimulus will get underway shortly thereafter. All of these things will be bullish for the metals that I'm very bullish on. What I'm most bullish on, though, is the stocks in those metals, because I think that they are the best way to get the most discounted gold is in the ground. These resource companies are just been punished. The valuations remind me of the year 2000, before the 2001 to 2011 bull market got underway. That was just incredibly powerful. And I think we're coming into that same kind of situation. Back then, the US dollar was strong as well. And gold stocks, silver stocks, copper stocks, we're all at, multi-year and record lows, which is where we are today. There's never been a time when the mining companies have paid high dividends like they are right now, and that's just a reflection of how under pressure all of the stocks are. And so we've got record lows, and I think a turn coming. So why don't we talk about some of the gold stocks and silver stocks and copper stocks that I follow closely. I'm going to talk about a group of companies that are sponsors of my website, my shows. And the reason that I focus on them so much is because I know for sure that they're out there aggressively working and aggressively telling their stories. We're in an environment right now where a lot of these companies are pulling in their horns, and they're not doing as much work, and they're certainly not talking about it as much to guys like me and other people on the internet. And I think that's a mistake. The big mistake that I see is because there's a lot of investors out there that are still looking for content. I get a lot of viewership on my shows, my interviews, and my special reports. And what's most significant is, on average, they watch about 20% of the video. Keeping investors' attention for 10, 15 minutes is not very easy. And these shows that I do are kind of like almost like a mining conference in a box. And so I like the companies that are aggressively working and telling their stories. And so I've got a group to talk about. One of the first is i-80 Gold. i-80 Gold trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol IAU, and in New York Stock Exchange with the symbol IAUX. They have two phenomenal gold projects. One is in Granite Creek. I just recently did an interview with Ewan Downey about their results from Granite Creek. And what that has consistently come out with is thick intersections of high grade. And it's in hole after hole after hole. They have strike length with excellent continuity of the high grade over a strike length of about 600 meters. The package of rock and the associated fault continues, and as you go to the north, you run into a 20 million ounce gold deposit. This is truly elephant country, and I think that they're on the brink of, well, I think they have found an elephant, and it's growing. It has room to grow to the north towards that big mine, and room to grow to the depth. As they go deeper, the grade keeps improving. So they're nowhere near at the bottom of the deposit, and they keep on extending that deposit. So that is a company making asset on its own, but that's not the only company making asset that they have. They also have the Ruby Hill project in Eureka, Nevada. And there they have found the Ruby Deeps discovery, tremendously thick intersections of extreme high grade. And they at the Ruby Deeps, they go a little higher and a little to the east, and they've got the 426 zone, a little higher than that, and they've got the bottom of an open pit. So that gives them easy access. There was historical mining at Granite Creek. So both of these projects have there's a famous Lassonde curve out there that talks about two big spikes in the evolution of a company. One is upon exploration success. The other is when they bring it into production. But in between that is a 7 to 10 year development discount window where the stocks come off quite dramatically. Well, their development discount window, you're talking months, not 7 to 10 years, 7 to 10 months. And that's a remarkable opportunity. They've got two world-class gold deposit projects at Granite Creek and at Ruby Hills, and also at Ruby Hills to the south of that pit, they've started to drill into a carbonate replacement deposit that's very exciting. Why it's so exciting is extremely high grade. One of the highest grade CRD discoveries being drilled right now in the entire industry. These CRDs can be fabulous successes for companies. One of the ones out there, Arizona Mining, found their Taylor deposit. It got them bought out for about $1.5 billion. You know, I see exploration companies out there with higher valuations than i-80 Gold, and i-80 Gold is currently producing, and with the quality of their assets at Granite Creek, Ruby Hill, and their McCoy Cove project, they have a platform of projects there that can launch them to becoming the most rapidly growing gold producing company over the next 3 to 5 years. So they have an outstanding future ahead of them. They currently only have a $500 million valuation. And I say only because I can see that this company has 5 to 10x potential, realistic potential. You don't need me to tell you about the quality of their assets. Just go to their website and look at their news releases. They have news release after news release after news release of exceptional drill results, high grade, thick intersections, great continuity. Without a doubt, I think that Granite Creek and Ruby Hills are world-class gold deposits. And you also get this CRD kicker at Ruby Hill. So for the investor out there that wants to have exposure to gold with not a lot of downside risk, I-80 Gold to me is a cornerstone asset, cornerstone holding, and I think you'd be good. It would be a good performer for you to hold shares in that company. Next company I'm going to talk about is Sokoman Minerals. Sokoman is a company that I've been following for a few years, and why I'm following them is mainly because of their Moosehead project in Newfoundland. This is an orogenic gold system. These orogenic gold systems are money-making machines if you find the right one. One of those out there in the world right now is the Fosterville mine. When they got into their Swan Zone at depth, it was a cash-making machine for Kirkland Lake. It made them one of the lowest cost producers, one of the best performing gold mining stocks, and ultimately got them bought out. You want to pay attention to orogenic gold systems, especially when they start getting deep enough that they start hitting what you call jewelry box grades and thicknesses. And they did that recently. Sokoman announced spectacular results from their Moosehead drilling, one of their deepest holes on their eastern trend. They hit a thick intersection of extremely high-grade gold. And what I think this is their first jewelry box hit in an orogenic gold system. And that is a seminal moment for a gold explorer looking at an orogenic gold system. I think that this is the inflection point that will take them much higher. An added bonus for Sokoman is that they also have an exciting lithium project that they've just started to drill into. I think ultimately that they'll end up spinning that out to shareholders and keep Sokoman focused on the Moosehead project. So that could be a nice bonus for investors in the company. I think that they have a very modest valuation. Currently, their valuation is, just going to pull it up here. Give me a second. Their current valuation is, where are we here? There we are. $47 million Canadian. Now, to put that into context, the Swan Zone mining turned Kirkland Lake into a massive winner, but they started from being a big company to start with. So if a jewelry box discovery of a jewelry box mine can be a company maker for a company as big as Kirkland Lake, imagine what it can do for a Sokoman Minerals with a $47 million valuation. I think this company is tremendously undervalued. I think they're at a seminal moment in their orogenic gold project at the Moosehead project, and I think they're going to hit it out of the box here as they do more drilling, which is right around the corner. They're currently drilling on other parts of the project, so they have a lot of pending news, and that's another one you want to do your homework on. And because they are a sponsor, I've been able to do a bunch of interviews with Tim Froud. Just go to my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News, and you'll find the recent one that I did with Tim. And I think he makes it very clear about his excitement for both the lithium project and specifically the Moosehead project at that jewelry box hit that they've made. And again, I think it's a seminal moment for that project. Next company I'm going to talk about is Walker River Resources. Going to go back to Nevada. These guys have been plugging away at a project for a few years now. And again, this is a company that I think is at a seminal moment for the project. One of their highest up the Laboucan mountain hits was their highest grades. And now they've started drilling from the top of the mountain where it's fairly flat, and they can drill vertically and drill from one location and drill a fan of holes off in various different angles and directions. And that's going to allow them to really drill aggressively. And they're only about 100 meters from that hotspot zone that they hit. And if they can keep attacking it from the top of the mountain, going down, going through it, and keeping going down the mountain, I think they could have a tremendously big discovery on their hands. And Walker River Resources right now only has a valuation of $7.18 million. This is a Nevada gold play. Their past drilling, which was hampered somewhat because they were drilling from the side of a mountain, so that can get kind of challenging. And they hit a lot of high-grade gold, but attacking it in an aggressive fashion was difficult. Now that they're at the top of the mountain, they can start poking holes down. And in addition to that, they also drilled over a little ways away at their Pikes Peak target. These gold systems they need a heat engine. That pressure and that heat is what brings the fluids from deep under the Earth's crust up to the surface. And I think that Pikes Peak could be their heat engine, and they drilled some holes there, and we're awaiting assays on that. So they're doing a lot of drilling right now. They got a lot of pending results, and at any moment they could release results that drive this $7 million valuation company much higher. Walker River Resources trades on the Venture Exchange. Their stock symbol is WRR. Next company up, I'm going to stick with Nevada here. There's three companies that are kind of associated with I-80 Gold, in the sense that right below I-80 Gold is Paycore Minerals. And Paycore has done some drilling with quite spectacular results as well. It looks like that CRD system that is over on I-80 ground continues all the way onto Paycore's ground. And that's very exciting, because we know already that there's extreme high grade in that CRD. If it's all associated with the same plumbing system, which it could be, because they have the same faults going through their properties, and they all have secondary faulting and the same kind of permeable rock that allows those fluids to come up and then separate. Some people call it like a skeleton. And I think that they could be sharing the same CRD. And if that's the case, you've got almost 3 kilometers of strike there, part of it owned by Paycore and part of it owned by I-80 Gold. And so Paycore has a really great project in Eureka. They've got the guy that really knows CRDs tremendously well, because he was part of the team at Arizona Mining that I mentioned earlier, that found that big CRD deposit that got them bought out for $1.5 billion. This guy knows CRDs. He's a metallurgist. He knows how to get the metals out of the rock. And I think they've got something tremendous. In fact, I did an interview with their CEO and their metallurgist not long ago on my YouTube channel, and I really think you should check that out if you're interested in Paycore. And I really think you should be, because of where they are and what they've found to date, and They only have a $28 million valuation. This company hasn't been out for very long as a publicly traded company, and that's why it's kind of flying under the radar of a lot of investors out there. But I don't think that that's going to stay that way for very much longer. I think that as I-80 keeps working on their CRD deposit, it shines more light onto Core's CRD deposit. And I think both these companies are onto great things. And Paycore has a very small valuation considering where they are and what they have and what they've drilled into so far. They've got some pending results out there, so stay tuned. I think you're going to see some good news out of Paycore that will drive their valuation much higher than $28 million. Their stock symbol is CORE on the Venture Exchange. Again, I've done interviews with their management. You can find it on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News. Stay tuned because I expect that they'll be putting out some news fairly soon, and I'll be doing more interviews with Paycore. Another company in that immediate area is a company called Timberline. Timberline trades under the stock symbol TBR on the venture market in Canada. And again, this is another company that shares the same kind of geological potential as Paycore and as I-80 Gold. The key fault goes right through their property, through Paycore's property, and through I-80 Gold's. This is a very productive system. You're finding gold, you're finding high-grade gold, great continuity, you're finding CRD potential, and I think that that whole package of potential is in Timberline as well. And yet Timberline only has a $25 million valuation. They've been aggressively drilling, and I think that they're down to a matter of days before they're going to come out with their next batch of results. And based on what I've done my homework on, I've looked at their past drilling, looked at their geophysics, looked at the structural story, the geological story, and I like everything I see at Timberline. I think they're onto something very special, and they've got multiple targets on their ground. And it's just a matter of picking which one they go after first and which one they roll their sleeves up on the most. But I think that they could be onto some great things as well. And again, only a $25 million valuation. So TBR is another one for you to take a look at. The real sleeper in that camp was you've got I-80 Gold, then right beside them is Paycore, and then right beside them is Golden Lake Resources, and then right beside them is Timberline. But Golden Lake only has a valuation of Golden Lake Exploration has a valuation of $3.5 million. They've got a great address. There's been a lot of historical mining on their property. They've drilled into some good stuff. They recently just brought on a new geologist that's going to be their VP Exploration, Don Hoy. I've known Don for many years. He's a super smart guy. I think he's going to help them unravel the realistic potential on that project and drive their $3.5 million valuation much higher. They're trading at a 52-week low right now. I like stocks that are trading at their 52-week lows because it offers a tremendous opportunity for my viewers and listeners to my shows. And so Golden Lake Minerals or Golden Lake Exploration has the stock symbol GLM. They trade on the Canadian Stock Exchange. I think this is another one you should take a look at because I like the address. I like what they found so far. I like the geological story, the structural story, and I think this one can deliver some great performance as well. Next up, I want to talk about copper. I'm a big bull on copper. Copper also did very well on Friday after those jobs numbers came up. The real key to copper is that it's this revolution in electrical vehicles or transportation. I think that that's inevitable. When the next round of quantitative easing and stimulus gets going, they will be pumping a lot of money into electric vehicles. Every country in the world wants them, and that's going to need a lot of copper. But there's not a lot of good copper stories out there to cover. One of the new companies that have been making a great discovery is a company called 9 Mile Metals. NINE is their stock symbol on the Canadian Stock Exchange. They found a lens, about a 10-meter thick lens of extreme high-grade copper and zinc. And they've got a geological feature in close proximity to that with geophysics that is all pointing to that being the potential source of where that extreme high-grade lens came from. This excites me a lot because VMS deposits can get quite big and very valuable to mine. And the lens, the thickness of the lens and the grade of the lens tells you a lot about the potential for the source of where that came from. I think it's going to be a big source, and I think it's going to be a high-grade source, and I think they're not too far away from finding that source. So then you start looking at the region, and this Bathurst mining camp in New Brunswick is an extremely important, I think it's the third most productive VMS regions in the world. And so they're in elephant country, and I really think that they have the potential of finding the crown jewel in that entire region. The grades that they found in that lens are extreme, and that's comparing it on a global sense, but then it's significantly higher than all of these mines that have been in production for decades around it. I think that lens and the source of where that lens came from is very exciting. And then these guys did 20 kilometers away, they have another geophysical area, and they have right where that geophysical targets are, they have a showing of massive sulfides. Sure enough, they drilled and they found it on their first hole. That's a very rare occurrence. A lot of geophysical anomalies are false positives. So they're using a company called EarthX to help them with their geophysical surveys themselves. They use drones to fly over the ground, and then they use expert tech systems. Some call them artificial intelligence, expert systems, whatever you call it. It's a filtering tool to then help them narrow the search. And the fact that they've hit on two of the targets that EarthX has told them to drill, I think speaks a lot about EarthX. It speaks a lot about the quality of the project. And they recently showed some drill holes in their news release from that. And tremendously, the core is full of sulfides. They look like they have two exceptional discoveries 20 kilometers apart, and they have a bunch more targets that EarthX is helping them with and get ready for drilling. I'm a big fan of what 9 Mile Metals has found, and I think they're going to find a lot more. They only have a $22 million valuation, which based on what I've seen in their drill core and the results that they've shown so far, I think that that's just tremendously cheap. And a recent interview I did was with their CEO and their top geologist. In fact, we're scheduled to do one tomorrow. So anybody watching this show, pay attention tomorrow. I'll have an interview out with them again to talk about their recent news release from their California Lake discovery that they've recently made. So there you go, 9 Mile Metals, NINE is their stock symbol on the Canadian Stock Exchange. I often talk about undervalued, underloved, beaten down stocks, and diamonds are maybe one of the best contrary plays out there. I spent a lot of my career in diamond exploration. I've worked with some of the world experts in geochemistry, geophysics, and geology in the diamond mining space. And I recently invited Arctic Star to become a sponsor because they're drilling into new kimberlites in close proximity to where the whole Canadian diamond mining scene started at Acadie, followed by Diavik, and they're right beside Acadie and Diavik finding new kimberlites. And these kimberlites that they're finding have outstanding geochemistry and very exciting diamond distribution curves. The diamond distribution curves and the geochemistry of their diamond indicator minerals suggests that they should be finding large and high quality diamonds in their kimberlites. And if that's the case, they only have a $9 million valuation. This could be the second coming of Acadie or Diavik. And they have the people involved. In fact, the guy that does their geochemical analysis is Chuck Fipke, who found the Acadie diamond mine. They also have Buddy Doyle, who is their top geologist, and Buddy was part of the team that found the diamond mines at Diavik. These guys they know this area, and it's very exciting to find new kimberlites in that area, and especially when they have the kind of diamond distribution curves and the diamond indicator minerals that they have. They have some pending results coming out in the not too distant future. I'm going to get Buddy Doyle and Pat Powers on the show to talk about that. But I think you should stay tuned, because I think this company with a $9 million valuation has bottomed. And if the results are what I think the science is suggesting that they are going to see, I think that this company's headed a lot higher. ADD is their stock symbol. They trade on the Venture Exchange. I'm going to give a quick shout out to a few of the companies that have been recent interviews on my YouTube channel. One of them is High Gold Mining. High Gold is got a great project in Alaska and a sort of an undiscovered gem in Ontario. The key driving force is what they're doing up in Alaska. They have a lot of pending results from their drilling in Alaska. Up there, they have a resource of 1 million ounces, right around 10 grams per ton. Those are very hard to find. They become very profitable mines. They have thick intersections of that high grade and great continuity. I think that this is ultimately going to be a mine. And then about 4 kilometers from that, they found what they call their Ellis zone. The Ellis zone had tremendously high grades and over substantial thickness as well. They've been drilling a bunch of holes into that Ellis zone. They've already released some, and they've got more pending. I like the chances for them to deliver good results, to spectacular results. And I really think that even knowing what they have right now, they're undervalued with a $44 million valuation. Do your homework on High Gold Mining. HIGH is their stock symbol on the Venture Exchange. Galantis Gold. I'm a big fan of these orogenic gold systems. I talked about one earlier. Galantis Gold is in a quite a remarkable position in that they're in an orogenic gold system, and they've already started to tag these jewelry box hits of high-grade gold, and they have a good handle on the dilation zones where the rocks break up and allow those gold-bearing fluids to pump into. And they only have a $53 million valuation, and they've started to mine this. And there has been historical mining on it. And that underground working that they do does two things for them. It will bring in free cash flow to pay for the deeper drilling, but then that underground workings give them easy access to see the rock at depth and then target those other jewelry box hits, which I think that they have. And you know, another exciting thing is their key, three key veins that they have are in close proximity to each other. And I think there's a high probability that as you go deeper, these will come together into one zone. And if that happens, kitty bar the door, because this is going to be a several $100 million valuation company, and they only have a $53 million valuation, which I think makes them undervalued just on what they've already found, let alone the potential of what they could and ultimately I think they will find. GLA is their stock symbol. They trade on the Venture Exchange. They were actually a former sponsor of my website. So I've done a bunch of interviews with Mario Stefano on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News. And you can get a good insight into what they're doing from those interviews. So you can do your homework there and then go to their website, look at their news releases, look at the hits that they've made and the work that they're doing. And I think you'll understand why I'm bullish on Galantis Gold. I'm going to leave you with one more a copper story, but it's got a gold mining company kicker. That company called McEwen Mining. Their gold mining operations they've had a lot of problems. They're getting on top of those problems. So it's a turnaround story on the gold play. But also they have this exceptional copper play down in South America, Los Azules. And what they plan on doing is spinning that out to shareholders in 2023. In the meantime, they're doing a bunch of work on that project, and what makes it exceptional is it's really big. It's the kind of thing that a major mining company will end up mining and buy out from McEwen Copper. McEwen Mining is the only way to get exposure to that. McEwen Mining owns 68% of McEwen Copper, and so that's a good way to get interest in the copper asset, which I think is just a tremendous project, one of the largest undeveloped copper projects in the world. I think it will ultimately be a mine. I think a much bigger company will be the one mining it, and I think that they'll end up buying McEwen Copper. So you get a turnaround story on their gold mining. There's also some exceptional potential for deeper gold discoveries. I think that this company, they're in an orogenic gold camp as well. And I think when they go deeper, that they've got the potential to find another Gold Corp type mine below what they're already mining. Rob McEwen, the McEwen in McEwen Mining, was the one who built Gold Corp up to be the lowest cost, from an explorer to a miner to the lowest cost miner in the business. He understands these deep orogenic gold systems, and I think that they could find one of those below their current mining in Ontario. So it's got this turnaround story on the mining of their gold mines that have had some problems. It's got the potential to find big high-grade gold mines below it. Then they've got this copper asset. Collectively, they have a $233 million valuation. I think that they're 1 to 4 or 5 times undervalued for the copper asset alone. Then you get the gold for free. That sounds like a good opportunity to me. And McEwen Mining is a good way to be exposed to gold and copper. They trade, McEwen Mining trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange under MUX, and they trade on the New York Stock Exchange with the same symbol. I think this company's worth multiples of 233 million. So do your homework on McEwen Mining as well. So there you go, folks. I wanted to make this a short and sweet video, but these companies that are sponsors or that I've done interviews with recently have tremendous stories, and when I get talking about them, I could talk for a lot longer than I did, because I have a lot of good things to say about the quality of their teams, their projects, the quality of their assets, how undervalued, and all the catalysts that they have coming. So do your homework on all of them. My show's for information purposes only. Before making any investment decisions, it's important for you to do your homework. Speak with your financial advisors. Great place to start that homework is go to my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News, and you'll find interviews with every one of these companies that I've talked about today. On that note, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.